Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Fun with F1, powered by V Sports. Today, we are going over the Mexico Grand Prix. It was a glorious weekend for the country of Mexico as Sergio Pérez became the first Mexican driver to lead a lap at the race and score a podium. He finished third, and it was so precious to see his father celebrating with him on the track after the race, and his son looking on as the podium celebration was going on. The crowds were chanting Checo all weekend, and Red Bull gave him a really cool mariachi suit for a little exhibition he did before the race qualifying and practice started. And he even had a really cool helmet with the Mexican flag and different really cool elements on it. And this was also a really cool weekend because fellow Guadalajara star Canelo Alvarez beat Caleb Plant in a TKO on Saturday. So it was really just a fun sports weekend if you were in Mexico or represent Mexico or root for Mexico. It was just a great time. Max Verstappen finished first, so he gave Red Bull a double podium, and this was his third win at the Mexico Grand Prix, so he now holds the record for most victories at that circuit. A great accomplishment for him as he continues to make his legacy in this sport. He won as he raced ahead from P3, and he never looked back. Mercedes had locked out the front row in qualifying. Valtteri Bottas finished at pole. He also received the Fangio helmet, which was a really cool piece of memorabilia honoring Juan Manuel Fangio's the 70th anniversary of his first world championship. Bottas' race did not go so well. Daniel Ricciardo locked up at turn 1 and he tapped Bottas, which sent him spinning, and luckily he was okay. Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher had to retire on that first lap, but he was able to get back racing. He was stuck behind Daniel Ricciardo for most of the race, and it was just a frustrating day for him. He even had an 11-second pit stop that was just another frustrating moment. He was relegated to fastest lap duty, which he did end up getting, and that single point is what separates Mercedes from Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. It is a tight race this season, and this made it even closer. Lewis Hamilton qualified at that second slot to give Mercedes that lockout, and he had an exhausting race. Max Verstappen sped ahead right away as soon as the lights went out, and Verstappen just didn't look back. He finished with 16 seconds ahead of Hamilton, and just the race was his. So Hamilton just really had his work cut out for him. He was battling against Checo as his Red Bull car came up behind Hamilton and just really gave him a run for his money. Hamilton really gutted that out and seemed genuinely happy with a second place finish. He commented that Checo simply had the faster car, and a lot of people on social media were upset, kind of saying that those comments were disrespectful and took away from Checo's talent. But if you looked at the race, that was an objective comment that Red Bull simply had the faster car that day. I think everybody knows that Sergio Pérez has earned his Red Bull seat, and I don't think Hamilton meant anything by saying that Sergio Pérez didn't earn that or deserve that faster car. It was just a comment on the technology of this sport and how this is a team sport that Perez was taking advantage of and using to the full of his abilities. Hamilton, as much of the grid, was very celebratory of Checo's accomplishments and everything that he did this weekend for his team and for his country and for his family. Elsewhere on the track, Pierre Gasly raced very well. He finished in 4th ahead of both Ferrari drivers, and Lando Norris also had a really good race. He took an engine penalty and started at the back of the grid, but he raced up back to finish in points and finished 10th. So it wasn't the best day for McLaren, but Lando Norris is a bright star, and just keep your eye on him. We've been talking about him all season. He had a really fun helmet too. It was bright yellow and just really stood out. So Verstappen extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship to 19 points. And this weekend it was just really fun to see him just be confident and comfortable. He's known for being just so ice cold and so focused. But it was great to see him just be such a supportive teammate to Sergio Pérez. He held up a Mexican flag with him after the race and was just smiling the whole weekend. It was really fun to watch him on the podium, as the Mexico Grand Prix has a really cool thing where they lift up the car and the driver from underneath onto the podium. And of course, 2 years ago, Lewis Hamilton won, and he was standing on top of his car celebrating really expressively. But Max Verstappen just kind of coolly sat on the end of his car with his foot propped on the tire, and it just really showed his personality and his cool confidence. So that was a special moment in F1 history that I think everyone will remember that visual. There's only a few more races left in the season, 4 to be exact. Next up is Brazil, which is the second leg of this triple header that we're in. It was canceled last season. It was one of the many races that we didn't race due to the COVID pandemic. But in 2019, Max Verstappen won. It's been a great track for Red Bull. This was when Pierre Gasly got second place. So honestly, the field looks pretty wide open for Max Verstappen. I know they're insisting that they're taking one race at a time. Max said after the Mexico Grand Prix that, it's not in the bag yet. Which it isn't. The championship has not been clinched, but he's just racing really well. This win, of course, came after his first win at the United States Grand Prix, and with Bottas's struggles this weekend and Lewis just not being able to keep up the pace, it's, not a matter necessarily of his driving, but just the technology of Red Bull has been so dominant this season. So it will be fun to see how this season closes out. And yeah, it's been quite a joy to watch. So I hope you stick with us. Stay tuned to V Sports for more coverage of sports, music, and culture, and more fun with F1. Thanks so much.